Well, hello and welcome to the 27 Degree with Chris and Nancy. So today we'll be discussing assisted living with Lisa Cabral and Sonya Costa. And before we begin our conversation, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Bay Coast Bank. Bay Coast Bank is just right for all of your financial needs. Visit baycoast.bank or call 508-678-7641 to learn more. And as always, you can support the 27 Degree with Chris and Nancy by subscribing to us on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and by following us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please remember to leave a review, and 5-star reviews are greatly appreciated. So we'll get right into this. But before we do, let's hear a little bit about both of you and what you do and how you got into the role that you're in.
Well, my name is Lisa Cabral. I am the Health and Wellness Director at Brookdale. I've been a nurse for 30 years. Went into long-term care after I graduated. And the last 10 years, I've been in assisted living, and I love it. It's so refreshing. The whole design of assisted living is promoting wellness. So you see it's a different atmosphere, a totally different atmosphere related to versus skilled nursing. So it is refreshing to have that and work in that environment every day.
So you did you do nursing home work before?
I did nursing home. I was, back in 1993, I think, 92, 93.
I know.
Started off just as a floor nurse. On second shift, and then I transferred to day shift, had a charge nurse position, worked at my first community for probably about 8 or 9 years, and then I did transfer to another position with another company, and I became a nursing unit supervisor on a long-term care unit specializing in behaviors. After that, I think that was about 5 years. And then I became an assistant director. So I kind of got my feet wet with that. Sure. Did a little intern director nurses at that community also. And then I transferred over to where I'm at right now at Brookdale. And I was actually, I don't know if you know this, I was the director nurses downstairs for about 2 years.
I didn't know that. In the nursing home
Yes.
section. Yeah, that's interesting. I was not aware of.
Yeah. And then I had the opportunity to go to the assisted living. And I was like, let's give it a shot, something different.
Sure.
And I love it.
Good.
I love it.
And Sonya, how about yourself?
So my name is Sonya. I do not have quite the extensive sheet that Lisa does. I became a nurse about 11 years ago. Started off initially in assisted living in Massachusetts, did like floor nursing. I was the wellness nurse there. Was there for a little while, and then I did do some skilled care, long-term nursing facilities, here and there, keep my skills. And then became the director at the facility where I was previously at the assisted living. But just some company changes happened at that time, so I changed over, came up to Brookdale. I've been there for probably almost 4 years now.
Nice.
As Lisa's right hand. So I'm the coordinator.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very nice.
And a great coordinator.
So just so everyone is on the same page as far as our audience, so this is a spectrum, right? There's independent living out in the community. There's independent living in places like Brookdale. There's assisted living. There's nursing home care.
Right.
Tell our audience a little bit about what assisted living is.
Assisted living is designed for seniors that need help with their ADLs. So if people don't know what that means, ADLs, that's activities of daily living. So what that could consist of is help with medication assistance, help with dressing, grooming, showers, just their overall medical condition. So we provide those services to that population while still promoting their independence. It's all about, like I said, my title is a health and wellness director. So we're promoting wellness. There's a variety of other things that we do on a daily basis there. Just medical management for chronic conditions. We also provide activities, transportation to doctor's appointments, coordination of care, the list goes on. What we do on a daily basis. Socialization is a big piece of that. The amount of programs that we have for the residents, getting out and enjoying life, being social compared to, a senior living at home alone. And I see it so many times there when I do assessments, they're at home and they're sitting in front of the TV.
Right.
There's no socialization.
Isolated.
It's just families coming in. You have, children working all day and then just come at night when they can. So it's a big difference when people come in and they get all of that. They have us here to just supervise them and just make sure that they're social and they're well.
What's the range for assisted living? Like how much, what's the criteria, I guess? Like how much help do they need?
Do you want to talk on that?
Yeah, I mean, we can.
Be
No, that's
the only
right.
talker.
I think it just. We have people that are independent, completely independent, right?
Yeah.
And we're really there more of kind of like a service coordination, like an oversight,
Yes.
trying to be the caregiver, right? So that
Yeah.
the family doesn't have to be the caregiver. So we're more of the caregiver to manage those things. But then you have people that do need, medication management, and that might be all because they may, forget to take their pills in the morning or forget,
Okay.
what's the time of the day I'm supposed to.
Right.
But then you could have someone that needs, pretty much total care. There are some stipulations for assisted living. Mostly it's, you got to be able to feed yourself
Okay.
and you got to be like a max 1 assist.
Okay.
And that's in, we're in Mass, Rhode Island, kind of the same. So 2 really close states where the regulations are different. So we are still regulated by the Department of Health.
Okay.
So where you might be able to do one thing in Mass, you can't do
Okay.
one thing in Rhode Island. So
So a max of 1 assist only, like it would require no more than one person to help
Exactly.
you with
Exactly.
the activities of daily living that you talked
Right.
about before.
exactly, transferring, standing up, things like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what types of patients are you most common? Like where's that?
There is a mix. Like they have to be pretty stable also medically. So in maintaining that.
Okay.
So there are other stipulations. It's individualized.
Okay.
It's hard to say. That's why we have to do that comprehensive assessment to
Is
determine.
that what happens? So a family's like, oh, mom's getting like a little unsafe. She might be falling at home. She's forgetting some of her meds, but she lives alone in her home and she likes her independence. But they're just like, they feel like they can't provide that supervision because, like you said, they need to
Right.
work. So what do you, like, what's the next step for me to do as a daughter?
So, like I said, individualized, they may need some rehab, which we can provide in the assisted living setting. It depends on how extensive the needs are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think the next step would be, so if your mom or your dad or, whomever would need something, I think the next step would be to reach out to someone, in an assisted living, if that's kind of where you're going to. And then there's a nursing assessment that happens. So, the marketing coordinator will coordinate with the family, with the nurse, and kind of get you 2 set up to do an assessment to see if it's appropriate for assisted living,
Right.
what your level of care will be, and then take it from there. And then the family kind of decides if this is kind of where they want to be at this point.
So if I'm not aware of all like the assisted living places out there, that would be something that you would guide me in as like my
Yeah, I
physician.
mean-
I could touch base with you and say, can you give me a starting
I mean, your
spot?
your primary doctor could definitely help, but I think probably a lot of people find you just from advertising and word
Right.
of mouth is my bet.
Right.
Right.
A Place for Mom is out there. They do consult with marketing quite often because I think you see it on commercials
Yeah,
all the time too. A Place for Mom, so they refer to Brookdale a lot.
But I think the bottom line is if you go to see someone and you feel, well, they're not appropriate for that,
Yeah.
they're better served by being in a nursing facility type
Right.
setting. I mean, you're going to let them know, and
Right.
you have certain criteria that you have to meet for someone to really be appropriate for assisted living.
Right.
So when they go into assisted living, like what are the living arrangements like?
It's beautiful. I don't know
Like,
if
do they
you've
have their
seen
private
the
room and stuff?
apartments.
it's actually
Yes,
very
it's,
nice.
it's all individualized apartments.
Oh,
Some residents have 1 bedrooms, some have 2 bedrooms.
okay.
It's
A little living area,
kitchen, living
kitchenette.
area.
Oh.
It's nice because they
Private
have their own.
bathrooms.
It's literally like having your own apartment,
Yeah.
but then
Okay.
they have like community spaces, so they eat together. They can be in activities together, but yet I have my own bedroom, my own bathroom, my own little kitchenette set up. So it's like my own apartment, but I have all that oversight.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, like I talked to a guy just recently who he'll probably end up actually going to assisted living. He might be independent living. He's thinking about it, but his situation was, he had a spouse died a while ago. He's at home. He's alone. His family doesn't have the time to always be there to meet
See
his
that a lot.
needs. And I think he's lonely too. And I think this helps a lot of people out where they may be in the community without any
Sure.
interaction with others,
Socialization.
right?
Right.
I mean, the
right.
socialization is a big part of it, it seems.
It definitely is. We've had residents come in, like you said, the spouse passes, the wife passes. That generation, like, they don't know how to cook,
Right.
Mhm.
clean, all those types of things.
Right.
And it just provides all of that, Like you said, independent living, some residents are just there for the meals,
Mm-hmm.
a good,
Yeah, the
nutritional
socialization of it.
meal and
Yeah.
that socialization piece. Like, I don't know how many times I've gone into homes where it's the TV and them. It's
Yeah.
just, it's sad,
Yeah.
And then they blossom once they get there.
Yeah.
And, we encourage the activities and they go out to eat. I mean, they've been everywhere. Like a couple of weeks ago, they were at Rentham.
Yeah.
Oh.
The mall,
They went
the
to
Rentham
Rentham.
shopping.
You ever
yeah.
need a chaperone? I'll go with them.
I know. I always volunteer. They just went to go somewhere, I think Middletown or Newport, the Daffodil
Oh, that
Farm.
daffodil
Oh,
place.
Took
yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook also, and they
Nice.
post pictures on Facebook. But going out to eat, they'll pick restaurants wherever they want to go.
So they're pretty active.
They are.
So then the transition doesn't sound like it would be too bad, because I would imagine you have some cases where the family's really pushing for this, but it's
Right.
like they don't want to give up their house maybe that they've been
That's
in for
the
50
challenge.
years.
It is the challenge. So some have, adjustment issues. Some do, some don't. But that's why we try to get them social. We try to buddy them up with another resident that's already living there once they come in.
Yeah.
So it
Nice.
kind of pulls them in and let's go to bingo. Let's go to the pub.
Yeah. The pub.
Be fit. Let's
pub.
go to the
5
pool.
o'clock. Yeah.
We have a theater. We have a couple right now. They both befriended each other. They go to the movies, on Saturday matinees. We
Oh.
have a theater downstairs.
Nice.
Actually, one of the gentlemen before, we have aerobics in the pool in the morning.
You have a
So
pool.
We have a pool.
Oh.
So he would bring him down. If that other gentleman wasn't there, it would have never happened.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's nice of, other residents that are willing to, help out. And
I think
get other residents
sometimes the transition honestly is harder for the family
yes.
than it is for the resident
Sure.
because sometimes for the family it's like giving up. We try to tell them let us be the caregiver, just be the daughter or be the son or be the nephew,
Yeah.
whatever
Mhm.
it may be. Sometimes it's hard for people. And we'll tell them it's going to be really hard in the beginning, probably more for you. And the resident may call them and it may be unfamiliar to them, but they eventually, they come out for meals or they meet other people there or they do all these different activities. So they're out living their best life. I mean, they're doing great.
Well, you know what happens too, I think, with the family, and I'll speak personally, a lot of times when you go over your mom's house, it's targeted. You have
Yep.
a checklist of things you have to do. You have to go
Mhm.
run around and pay the bills or do a laundry. And you don't just have time to
Yeah.
sit and visit and
Mhm.
really pay attention because you have this task list.
Right.
So I can imagine
Yeah.
once your loved one does go into an assisted living, and that responsibility is taken away, you
Relief.
can just
It's a
have
transition for
fun.
you, right?
Yeah.
It's a transition for you
Yeah,
too.
of
So it
course.
can be tough, but it's better because, like I said, you're enjoying not the task. You're not you don't
Right.
have to be that
You're not
caregiver
task
anymore.
focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do? Like you had said you had the buddy system and certain
Mm-hmm.
activities and stuff like that. So then the adjustment period for most of these people that go in there, you're making it super easy, so it doesn't sound like they
We
have a
try.
lot of things there.
Yeah.
Everyone's different, some
Yeah,
people
not everybody
will.
participates in activities. We try to get them out, especially, they're out of their apartment for meal times.
Yeah.
So at least they're having that socialization when they go into dining and seeing faces, talking, compared to being at home alone. It's just sometimes some residents just choose what they want to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is okay.
And they can
Um,
still do like day trips with families or
Sure.
if they
Yes.
want to go on
Oh, yeah.
vacation.
Some
Like
still
we have-
drive.
Some-
Yeah, and we have
drive still,
families
yeah.
that take
Oh.
them out, every weekend or for a
Right.
week at a time. Or and a few
Some
of them
still drive. They'll go to, down the street
to the beach.
to the beach. They'll
Oh.
go to the restaurant down the street, and they have fun that way too.
Like for the staff, what is a typical day like? So you said like med management could be part of this. So in the morning, they're like go through kind of what a typical day.
Yeah,
might
probably
look like.
mention what kind of staffing you have, what's in an assisted living facility, a typical one, compared to, say, a nursing facility, a nursing home.
So Rhode Island's unique because we have what we call med techs.
Okay.
They have a license. It's a CNA that goes to school, extra training
Okay.
on how to pass out medications. So we have what we call a med tech. So during the day and at a portion of the night, they're assigned to pass out meds for all the residents. We do have the support of a nurse. It's not 24/7 because it's assisted living. It's not a skilled unit. A nurse during the day and part of the night
Okay.
to support whatever needs to be done, that a nurse has to do.
Right.
And then both Sonya and I are there during the day, and a CNA, we call it a CNA and a half, but approximately 2 CNAs, especially in the morning, because that's the busy time. The majority of residents go to dining. So
Okay.
it's busy.
The morning's busy.
7 and like 9-ish, it goes by very quickly.
Okay.
And then at night, we have another nurse on. We also have a med tech and 2 other CNAs that assist with care.
So they're getting a lot of eyes on during
Mhm.
the day, which is great for like safety. Or if someone, maybe has had some falls at home, they're always getting
Yep.
like checked on. They're not
Mhm.
going to be lying on a floor after they fell
No,
for like
no.
hours
No.
or something.
No, I mean, you try to give them as much independence as you can, right? So you're not constantly
Hovering,
in them.
yeah.
But I mean, just as an example, during mealtime, you take like a kind of a census during mealtime to see who's here. If you're noticing that somebody's not coming to meals, you're checking on them just to say, you might not want to come to meals, but at least somebody's always putting,
Yeah.
because you could be independent with everything,
Right.
you could just be there for, the socialization aspect of it. But at least, we know that you normally come to meals. You're not here today. We're just going to kind of knock and say, hey, is everything okay? So you still got that like safety check through the day, which is, it's reassuring.
Right.
And they have a doctor, and they have a nurse practitioner who comes too.
And that's great.
You forgot the most important
They are
part. No, not the
fantastic.
most
I mean-
important
It is
part.
great. We haven't had that. I've been there 12 years, and we've never had that overlap of the
Yeah,
nurse
so we're there a
practitioner.
couple days a week, which is
Yeah.
nice. The nurse practitioner's there one day, and I'm there another day. And
You
So,
catch things.
yeah, they don't. The
yeah.
the residents don't need to necessarily go out to their primaries.
Yep.
They can if they want. They don't have to have us as
Right.
their
Mhm.
physician or whatnot. But many of them do, and we're there, and things come up, and we check them out.
It's nice that you provide the transportation too to their medical appointments
Mhm.
because that has to be a big challenge for families, especially if they're working.
Yep. Or if
You
they're not
know,
around for
right.
a state. Yeah.
Right. Very
Yeah,
nice.
it is a relief to them.
Yeah.
Take
And-
that burden off.
And access 24/7. Like if you get out of work at 11 o'clock and mom's usually a night owl, she stays up till like 1 in the
Yes.
morning. You can
Mhm.
pop in and sit with her and watch a midnight show.
Sure.
Nice. So can we talk about cost? Is cost like super prohibitive? And can you talk about
No,
like
I actually
averages
asked the
for
marketing
costs?
team if that, was okay. Typically, assisted living costs around $6,000 a month
Okay.
for assisted living, and then the specialty care unit assisted living is a little more money. So you're looking at probably more like 7.
Okay. What's specialty care?
So that would be the dementia care unit. So
Oh,
it's assisted living, but with a memory care component to it. So it's a structured unit, smaller unit that we have at Brookdale for residents that need that more assistance because of cognitive issues.
So
impairment.
included in that price, then it's like, room, board,
That's
the meals,
actually-
the activities.
Right, that's actually the rent.
Okay.
And then we do what we call a la carte pricing. So
Okay.
it's just what you need.
Okay.
So
So you're
like
not paying
Sonya
for
said-
anything extra that you're not going to
like
use.
Sonya
Yeah.
said, in the traditional assisted living, like she said, some people just may need be there for socialization and med management. So they're only going to get, med management pricing.
Is
So.
the food an extra cost, or is that in that?
That's included.
That's included. Okay, so
Mhm.
it's basically the room, the apartment, and food.
Yeah, you get, and then you get, like, there's certain things that I think,
housekeeping.
I think the extra stuff is just like the care, but like, yeah, so the room, the food, housekeeping, laundry,
Mhm.
activities, like all of that
Is
is
included
included
in that
like
rent.
that base rate. The extra you're
So-
paying for is like if you need help with meds or you need help with dressing and grooming or showering,
I
like
see,
those kind of
okay.
a la carte things.
Mhm.
Right. So you'd have to think about, well, what am I spending on, my housing and my food, or maybe I have someone coming in to check on me periodically. What's that cost compared to if I were in an assisted living? So you can kind of do the math and add it all up. But
Mhm.
the socialization is a piece that it's hard to put a cost on, really. That's an
Right.
important part of it all.
It is.
And just the
safety.
oversight. Yeah, I agree that just having that like peace of mind that they're not alone.
Mom's okay.
Usually they have some kind of like alert system. So, yeah, I mean, with us, they do have like an alert kind of pendant system. So if they have an emergency or something, they press it and somebody's there. So you do have that constant oversight for the most part, I think, and just in assisted living in general. So you're not worried about what's going on all the time. I couldn't get a hold of mom, or I couldn't get a hold of that.
Right.
Didn't answer their phone, that can be really stressful, if you're in a home setting. So.
Primacare is Southeastern New England's trusted leader in medical care. With offices in Fall River and surrounding communities, we're dedicated to your well-being. Our carefully selected team of more than 150 providers offers world-class primary and specialty medical care. Primacare doctors are supported by a skilled staff trained to deliver comprehensive radiology, imaging, and testing services. Primacare is large enough to take care of all your medical needs, but small enough to care for you personally. Primacare is by your side.
Mhm.
So now at Brookdale, we've heard about a pool. We've heard
Yes,
about
that's all
a
she heard.
pub. I know. I was like, a pool. Ooh. But I heard
And a
about the
jacuzzi.
pub too. A jacuzzi.
And a jacuzzi.
And a jacuzzi.
They have a game room with pool tables and
Yeah.
a little reading area, little
Like a library?
kind of
Chapel.
little
Chapel.
chapel area
Mhm.
too.
A movie
Oh, and there's a
theater.
new
Movie
doctor's
theater.
office.
Oh yeah,
also.
yeah. There is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
With
so,
With that wonderful doctor that comes all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, he
Yes.
enjoys that.
So there's a lot. There's a lot there.
and now do you have like gardens and stuff
We
too?
do. Outside, we have the raised gardens.
Nice.
So we do utilize that. We actually, in the summer when it gets cool, a little gazebo isn't.
Yeah, and they have that
That-
greenhouse out back too.
Yes.
Little greenhouse out back.
Yeah.
So now, that's a big deal because you have a lot of gardeners, right?
Mhm.
So if they're moving away from their home and their independence, like they're not losing an activity that they love, so they can assist with the gardening
Right.
and
We see a
doing
lot of
some-
residents come down for the greenhouse.
Yeah. I've even seen residents, some of the rooms have like a balcony, so they have the little raised garden, a little potted garden
Oh,
on the balcony,
yeah.
so
Oh,
Very
another
nice.
important thing is some of the residents have pets.
I was just
They
going to
do.
say that.
How's that?
Yeah, you can have a little
Yes.
dog or cat or whatnot.
We love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, how neat is that?
The
we
cat
have a
was
lot of
in-
cats.
The
We have
cat
a
was
lot
in
of
our
cats.
office
Yeah.
today. We
That's a
missed
lot of
it.
cats.
Yep,
We
we
went
did.
out
I know
to
we
We've
came
had
to say
some
hello.
dogs
That's a
there,
really
too.
cool
Yep,
place.
small dogs. Yep. Mhm.
So what's is there like an age restriction? I'm thinking, see you later, John.
She's moving in.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I'll bring my dogs. I'll be all set. Got the pool, the jacuzzi,
Your
and the
dogs might
pub.
be a little big though.
Oh, my
Well, the little one isn't, but the other
They
one.
are. The feisty one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 65, but there are some
you're almost there.
instances where
So go ahead.
yeah,
Lisa.
65, but
Continue.
there are some instances where we've had residents that have moved in that are just a little bit below that
Mhm.
Yeah,
age.
I guess based on need, right?
Yeah,
Especially if
yeah.
they're
It has
having
to be, like,
memory issues or
approved.
something.
Yeah.
What's your oldest resident?
Oh,
Oh, whoa.
Oh, whoa.
102,
Yeah.
No.
102.
Really?
Unreal. And you would never know.
Unbelievable.
And they eat whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yep,
Do they go to the pub?
that's it all.
Does it all.
We're driving. We're going to the pub.
yes.
We're
Going to the
we're doing it all.
beach.
Isn't that
Is
great?
the pub-
Amazing.
When's the pub open, by the way?
Well, it's
Do
open
you switch
on
in your hours?
Wednesdays. It's a lot of people on Wednesdays like the Sundays.
Yeah, they do. It's like
The
a
ice cream
Sunday
Sundays that we have.
Yeah.
I see more of that than
They use it a lot for
alcohol.
socialization. Yeah, more of like the socials, I think.
so more
Yeah.
people gear towards the ice cream Sundays.
Mm.
And
So-
then we get involved in that too. I
Yeah,
try
well,
to
you know,
Oh,
quality
ice cream
assurance. We
Sundays,
want to
yeah.
make sure it's good.
Yeah, of course. You have to check
Oh my
it, right?
God.
I try. Yeah.
Now, for the residents, like birthdays and stuff like that, do you have a little room that the families can come over and party in?
There's definitely
Yeah.
there's a couple of private function rooms. I think that
Nice.
I've seen. There's a smaller one, like the independent dining, the private dining room. It's a little smaller. They've done it there, but downstairs in the game room, I've seen big parties there. But then they do, even for the residents, like once a month, like a birthday dinner that they have like a separate, just for those residents whose birthday is that month.
Nice.
So there's always, yeah, you try to make it special for them, of course.
Yeah.
But families should definitely come over. They've had people cater in, to the
Oh,
rooms
very nice.
downstairs. Yeah.
And if someone wants to join their mom or dad for like lunch or supper, do you allow that as well?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Mhm. And then we have the weather is getting warmer.
Yeah.
We have what we call sunset socials out on I call it the promenade deck. So if you've ever been to Brookdale, it used to be the Coachman. So there is like a deck outside, west facing the water. And they'll just have social hour out there, acoustic music that we have musicians playing out there. So it's really
Jeez.
nice.
I should bring my band. We'll go out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we
That
go.
would be cool.
You could.
Yes.
That would be
That
nice.
would be nice.
That'd
I've
be
never,
fun.
yeah.
That would be
heard
fun,
your
actually.
band, so we could do that. I'm gonna tell Sheila.
Okay.
But I will say, families do. I think that's probably one of my favorite parts of just this type of environment, because this is what I've been doing forever. But families do get super involved. Like I've made amazing relationships with
Yeah.
residents, with families, because I think we talked about that checklist. They kind of eventually let go of that checklist. They let go of like the caregiver responsibility, and then they're just like super relaxed. So they come in, and it's more like I can enjoy just
Yeah.
being with
Right.
my mom or whatever the case may be, and they just kind of let their guard down, and they really do. You build like these great relationships with families, and they just get comfortable, and so it's nice.
And when they move in, like they're bringing personal items, right? Like
Right,
their
their own
furniture
furniture.
and
Yep.
art or
It's like
Yeah.
moving
What
into
have
an
you.
empty apartment, basically.
We've seen
Exactly.
some amazing apartments.
Yeah.
Too. The Asian themed apartment.
Yes,
a
we've seen
gentleman
some nice
had.
one, or like the beachy ones.
beachy.
They do a great job. They really make it personal.
Yeah.
They bring their home kind of in, so it's nice.
very
It's
nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
Mm.
So let me ask you, let's take a step back. If someone was in independent living,
Mhm.
which Brookdale has, of course, I mean, the apartments look very similar
Right.
to what's in assisted living, but what is the difference? What are they not getting that someone gets in assisted living?
So it's that nursing oversight. So independent is just what it means, independent living. So compared to assisted living, we do have concierge service at our community. So for instance, independent living, they all have pendants on, just in case, they had a medical event or they had a fall. There is staff there that respond to their call light. But it's not nursing staff, it's management or concierge. We have 24/7 coverage at night. So if it happened 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, there is someone at the front desk to tend to their needs.
And this is like apartments too, right? Or it's not like
It's
independent?
apartments. Yeah, it's just apartments. So
Okay.
your typical independent living resident is independent with their medication. They might still have families coming in just to help that piece of it.
Yep.
Independent with the ADL piece. So they have to be independent with toileting. They might have visiting nurses come in just like in the home
Right,
setting
right.
to provide showers or like morning care, but they have that dining experience too.
Okay.
They're mobile. They have to be independent with walking to get to and from dining or whatever, areas in the building that they want to go.
So they still have
to.
access to the meals and all
Yes,
that.
yes, they do.
I think
They
the
do.
biggest difference in that setting is
It's
just
just
the
the
fact
nursing.
that they don't have
There's no-
nursing oversight. There's
Okay.
no nursing
Okay.
oversight.
So it's a concierge is just concierge or a manager that's on duty. It's not a nurse.
Right.
But they're responding to the apartment, whatever the situation may be, and then helping assist call emergency medical services, whatever the need is.
Okay.
Nice. What about wait times? Like, do you have like units available to move into? Is there like a year wait time or?
Depends on what our
Where you
census
need.
is.
Yeah.
You see that a lot in our specialty unit. The memory care unit is very we're full a lot.
Yeah.
Like the census is usually full,
And I think that
Well-
attests too because we're kind of like that continuing care. So they'll start off in independent,
Mhm.
and then they may
Right.
go to assisted living, and then they may need, the memory care unit, and then they may eventually need, a healthcare center. We just happen to have them. So I think for us as the assisted living, memory care is kind of usually that last step.
Mhm.
So I think that unit tends to be fuller just all the time,
Right, right.
often, very often.
Just going back to the finances for a minute. So this is out of pocket expenses, like nothing's covered by any type of like insurance or anything like that.
If they happen to have long-term care insurance
okay.
policies, we do accept that.
Okay.
Some residents have like veterans benefits.
Yep.
But pretty much the rest would be like personal assets, pensions,
Okay.
Mm.
your savings, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, what about if someone's interested when they're listening to this podcast, they want to check you guys out? I'm sure you offer facility tours and you can kind of
We
look
do.
at
Every day.
everything.
Yeah,
And
a lot of times they can just, they can walk in. It's always better to call, of course, because
Yeah,
then you get
yeah.
a little bit more personal. But yeah, I mean, there's somebody there, like you said, 24 hours.
I mean, that's awesome.
So can we move on to the memory care unit, because that's
Yeah.
an assisted living
Yes.
facility also, but it's a little different. So tell us a little bit about what that offers that's different from regular assisted living.
So it provides that secure environment.
Mhm.
So residents that are at risk for elopement, wandering, provides a secured environment. It also is more structured. It's a smaller setting and it's more structured. So residents that you see in traditional assisted living that are more alert and oriented, they go about their day and do whatever they want to do. When we see the change, like Sonya said about transitioning to other levels of care, nursing will see that difference where they need, they're at the nurse's station a lot. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And that's pretty much the cue that, we see all the time that it's probably that time for more of a memory care setting. So they provide that structure with activities. It's like regimented
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day when they
Okay.
wake up. There's always something going on, and they're like brought to the areas to help participate in. So the structure is really important.
So all the medications are going to be passed out just
Yes.
like in a typical nursing home like facility, but
Mhm.
it's still an assisted living with their own apartments.
Right.
A lot
Right.
more structure than the classic assisted
Yes.
living.
Same
And it's locked. It's a locked
CNAs.
unit, so they're not going to wander out
Right.
off the facility.
Right.
They can still leave with family members or whatnot, but they're not going to be found a block down the road.
Correct.
What about at night? Then your coverage at night, your medical coverage at night is different in this unit than in the assisted living.
You're still looking at, because it's assisted living as a whole, so there'll still be 2 full CNAs
Okay.
in the memory care unit.
Okay.
And then you have a CNA in assisted living and a med tech in assisted living. So the med tech has a little bit more experience than the CNA. I think just medically they have a little bit more of a background.
Okay.
So they'll, kind of cover back and forth. And then if there is an emergency, they'll take it there, either call medical service if they have to.
Call
They've
me.
had to call Lisa if
Call
they have had to, just to kind of ask
Whether-
those questions, if there's an emergency that arises overnight.
How large is your facility? Like, how many residents do you have in each section?
So
About.
18 in our memory care, and that's full.
Okay. Okay.
36 to 39 in our assisted living.
Okay.
Right now, that's our census. And then we have a skilled nursing unit. I think that
Okay.
has 29 to 30 beds.
That's
Okay.
probably about right.
Yeah.
And then our independent living, I want to say it's probably around 60, 65
Wow.
apartments.
That's great.
Yeah, it's large.
You know what's nice about that? Like you guys have said, it's just like you've covered the whole spectrum,
Yeah,
like that
exactly.
transition.
People
So
don't
they're
have
not
to
getting
move.
used to like new people or like a brand new environment or anything like that. It's gentle.
It is, and
Yeah.
that's what we try to incorporate in our assessment. If somebody has to transition over from independent living to an
Yeah.
assisted living, because you see it
Just
all the time,
aging
we
sometimes.
try to
yeah.
tell the
Exactly.
resident that.
You can age in place.
Yeah, age in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Oh, so and so just moved over 2 weeks ago. So that's, and then it's just an ease to the resident too,
Right.
knowing like, oh, she's on my floor. So
Yeah.
it's
And then for the families
it
too, there's like a
helps.
long-term plan
Exactly.
in place.
And they're
so they're
already
not
comfortable.
worrying.
Yep.
Right.
They're not like, oh, mom's gonna get kicked out. I have to find a new place to kind of replace. What? Not kicked out, but
No, right,
you
but she's
know,
exceeded the level of care.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
could
just
happen.
it's nice all the way around.
Right.
So now you must have a story that warms your heart on one of your residents.
Oh, there's many. Gosh. What were you going to talk
There is
about?
many, but
This-
I have one that I always think about because we probably came in about the same time. And she came to us and she was just having a hard time. Her family, she's got some local, but some not. Even physically, she was having a hard time with mobility, moving around. But she's still super social, loves to go to exercise, loves to talk, loves the gardening. She's like, she gets plants every month, like a
Sure.
subscription. So she had a hard time and she came over to us and she got some physical therapy because, physical therapy does come in. So she got some physical therapy. Nursing wise, we were able to kind of manage what was going on with her. And she thrives. She's amazing. She's amazing. She's ambulating on her own.
Oh my
She
gosh.
goes to all the activities. She goes out on the bus and she's super social. She's able to, even her daughter will say it, that she can, kind of just enjoy her as mom and they go out and, you can go to church or I can
Right.
take you out shopping. And
Mm.
so it's just nice to see somebody that just kind of blossomed in that environment, I think,
You do see them thrive
Yeah.
and gain weight because we have a lot of food.
They probably don't eat that well at home if
And you
it's
see
tough to
that
cook for
It
one.
is true. Yeah.
And admission weight. And then 30, 60 days later, we're like, wow,
They're nice
Oh.
and plump and hydrated.
You're
you
doing
see
well.
that a lot,
Mm.
the weight gain, which is good,
Yeah. Yeah,
to an extent. But
sure.
Yeah, well, some of these folks are probably sitting at home eating, food out of cans and
Exactly.
that's
And-
For cereal.
Cereal.
Something
Cereal.
easy. Yeah,
Cereal.
something easy.
yeah.
and sure, they don't have access to,
Yeah.
nutrition and
And I mean,
Yeah.
talk about like a success story. I'm just thinking of something right now, but we talk about that transfer of levels of care, and it's it's great for the family, great for the resident. But I mean, we had a gentleman that when he first came in, really to himself, was constantly in his room.
Oh,
And,
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
always in his room. We really couldn't get him out to activities. Wouldn't come out to the dining room, and it was Then you see a decline. So he, there was a transition for him to a memory care unit. I mean. This man is he's out all the time. He goes to the dining room. He's super social. I mean, it's just, so even that, I know sometimes families get nervous and, it's a big transition, but when they're where they need to be and where they're supposed to be,
Right.
they really do. They do really well. They do really well.
That has to be great to
Yeah.
see.
I think families are more nervous about our memory care transitioning down. It's a
Mhm.
big step,
Mm.
But families, when they see as the months progress and they're like, oh, Mom looks so great. I couldn't believe she did that today. And then they'll come to us and go, I'm so sorry. Like I doubted both of you, or because we try to educate the families too. Like, this is good. You're going to have a harder time with it than they are. And they just thrive. They, they get involved.
Why do they do so well in memory care? Is it the
It's-
repetition or the
it's-
structure?
The structure.
I think so too. The structure,
structure.
the same.
And
We try to
fabulous
do a lot
staff.
of the same faces.
Yeah.
You know, they do smaller activity groups. You know, so I think, you know, in assisted living, it's kind of, you know, you go when you want, right?
Yeah,
You're not going to force
yeah.
anybody. We try to give you, but in a memory care, we kind of try to push you a little bit to, you know, come to activity, get out of your room, right? We don't
Right.
want people in the room. So I think that's probably the biggest thing is the structure, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, really, it's a great facility. You know, it's got the whole gambit. It's a nice community. I think that's the key part. It's a community.
Yeah.
You know, it's very different than what probably many think of traditionally when they think of, you know, just many of us have experience with nursing facilities and nursing homes, but maybe not necessarily with assisted living and that. So it's a whole very
And it's
different
not like
type of.
300 people.
No,
You know,
no,
it's like
no.
intimate, and you know
No.
everyone, and you can
I'm sure
form those
most
like
of the residents
nice
know all of the other
relationships.
residents
Yep.
Mhm.
for the most part, at least on their floor. Certainly.
Right. Right. It's a great community. Everybody knows everybody. I mean, I've had so many families come in that I've known from Tiverton. I live in Tiverton.
Yeah.
And then they come and they're like, oh, you know, I'll be at Tom's Market and I
Yeah.
see
You run into
them.
people.
Or I'll
Sure.
be at the Seconic Grill and I see
Oh
them.
my God.
But it's nice. It's
Right.
really, you know, it's really nice.
You guys must have a great time around the holidays.
Ooh,
It's
yes.
fun.
How many Christmas trees there's like
Too many.
25
Really?
Christmas trees throughout
Too
the
many.
whole community.
Oh my
That
gosh.
it takes a long time to decorate, but they do a great job.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we get towards our close, is there any one message you want to leave with the audience today?
If you are looking for placement for your mom or dad, please check us out. I mean, it's such a great community. We provide all services for all levels of care. It's just one-stop shopping, and that's how I feel like it's, you know, I've been there for 12 years, and I love it.
I think the other point you made was great, that often the transition is not as hard as family members would think for the actual resident. It's
Right.
more of a difficulty with the actual
The
family
family.
members.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
is.
know,
But we're there to help guide the way
Sure.
and ease their mind. But it's a great community.
Yeah,
Great.
I think the one thing that I would just say is that if it's something you are looking into for your loved one, just whatever the case may be, just do it early, like sooner rather than later. Even if you're just gathering information, because it's a lot easier to find placement wherever they need to be than it is like you're like last second and you don't have the choice. If you do it earlier, you have more of an option, more of a choice
Right.
as to where you want to be. Sometimes when you're just kind of scrambling last minute, it's a little bit kind of is what I have to do, not really what I want to do. So just because I've seen it so many times where that last hour it's tough sometimes
Yeah.
for family and resident.
Mhm.
And sometimes when patients are at home and they're isolated and they're not eating well, they're not moving, they decline a lot. So
Okay.
they may get to the point where they're not even actually appropriate for assisted
Exactly.
living.
And that
anymore.
does happen a lot, where the families just need to be educated on what assisted living is. They think we could, accept any person. And it's sometimes a letdown when you tell them, well, I think mom and dad need a little rehab, and then we can kind of look at this again in another 30 days.
Yeah.
But Sonya hit it right on the nail. Getting that, education early enough to kind of see what your options are and not be disappointed where, I think a lot of people wait too long
Right.
Right.
and they miss
Right.
that opportunity.
Yeah. And sometimes they can go to the nursing section and the nursing home section and get rehab and
Right.
kind of make it back.
We've had that
but
happen.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
sometimes it doesn't work out that way, unfortunately. So it's always good to, I guess, try to, if you're thinking about assisted living, you want to look at it earlier than later,
Right.
as you mentioned.
Mhm.
Great.
All right.
Well, this was a wonderful conversation.
Yeah,
I
think so,
really
too.
appreciate it.
That's
Thank
good.
you, Lisa
Our
and
pleasure.
Sonya.
No problem. Thank
This
you.
was
And then
great.
just contact information, like how do they get in touch with you if they want to start exploring this option?
So marketing team is there every day, or they can call the Brookdale number and
Okay.
ask to speak to the marketing team, and we can perform assessment.
All right, do you know the Brookdale number by
Yes, I
memory?
do.
Okay.
It's 401-624-1880.
Nice.
There we go. That's an easy one to remember.
Yeah,
And we'll
that's
we'll
an easy
post
one.
that too. So
Yeah.
well, thank you everyone for listening to our show, The 27th Degree with Chris and Nancy. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please contact us at 774-319-4230. This is how we support these activities, and it's greatly appreciated. Special thanks to Ron Gamache for our intro music and the PC Institute for producing our show. And of course, to Bay Coast Bank. Bay Coast Bank is just right for all of your financial needs. Visit Bay Coast Bank at baycoast.bank or call 508-678-7641. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Take care.